I said that the Greta Thunberg thing and her flotilla has gone from just a fail to the ridiculous, and now it's gone beyond that. So Greta Thunberg on her Instagram shared a photo of what she was saying were starving Gazans, but it was actually, she didn't even realize this because of her now exposed ignorance, it was a picture of a starving Jewish hostage. That's right, Evyatar David. So this was her tweet. That's not her tweet, her Instagram picture. So this is on Instagram. She goes, "The suffering of Palestinian prisoners is not a matter of opinion. It's a fact of systematic cruelty and dehumanization. Humanity cannot be selective. Justice cannot have borders." But of course, you can see here, that's Evyatar David on the bottom right, who is being tortured by Hamas. So Israel commented, they put out a statement on X saying, "Ignorance blinded by haters trending. Greta Thunberg posted about Palestinian prisoners using the image of Israeli hostage Evyatar David. Look at him, starved, abused, and forced by Palestinian Hamas to dig his own grave." Elon Levy spoke about this too. How psychopathic is Hamas? It forced starving Evyatar David to dig his own grave for the cameras. He tweeted that a while back at the time. That's who we're talking about here. But as soon as Greta found out, she quietly deleted the post. And Evyatar David's sister, Yila, actually verbally torched Greta for the irony. She said, "You should research before you post things you don't understand about. In the 6th slide, you put a photo of an Israeli hostage who Hamas starved on purpose. Every minute you're not deleting the post, you're becoming a bigger joke." It is ridiculous, but it's also just shows what kind of a world we live in, where we sanctify and glorify these kinds of supposed saints of morality who actually represent, first of all, ignorance besides anything else, but also not the most they are not symbols of conscience. They are supporting the most unconscionable types of causes out there. Hen Mazig wrote, "I have so many questions for Greta after she shared the photo of Evyatar David, thinking he was a Palestinian held in Israel. Is the image of that starving man being forced to dig his own grave suddenly okay, Greta? Because it turns out he's the wrong ethnicity. Did you see his suffering and feel for him, only to learn about your mistake and go, oh, well, that's fine then? When you thought he was Palestinian, did his pain finally matter to you, Greta? Or was it always just a game to you?" Louis Ahmed said, "Can Greta and her privileged friends sail to Yemen and Sudan, where there's been famine, hunger, and wars for over 10 years instead? Jews are not involved, but still." And someone else wrote, "Greta's deleted it. I guess she no longer feels sorry for the starved and brutalized man in this photo. Now she knows he's Jewish." So, I mean, as you can see here, this whole thing is utterly ridiculous. And I think, honestly, I've covered Greta in several videos now, but I think at this point we just have to say, enough's enough, Greta. You need to go back to, forget school, kindergarten, because you are clearly so deeply misinformed. Not just on the facts, not just in history, not just in politics, but in basic morality. Now, by the way, something else I had to share with you. It turns out that Candace Owens has decided to now plug JTV. Yes, that's right. That's right. A clip of us featured on her show recently when she was talking about how she believes that we are not being told the truth at all about Charlie Kirk's awful, tragic murder. And she is trying to push the narrative that somehow this is all to do with the fact that he was about to turn on Israel. And she shared my really insightful and interesting conversation with Josh Hammer, who revealed to me that he had a conversation with Charlie. Charlie wants to have a Zoom with him and Rabbi Pesach Walicki to prep his Israel arguments the night before he was killed, to prep them for his campus tour. So Candace referenced it on her show. Have a watch.
He went on JTV, which is on the global Jewish channel, to discuss that last call with Charlie further with a host named Ali. And here is what Josh says about his book.
We actually did speak for the last time less than 24 hours before the assassination happened. We had a Zoom call, a friend of mine, him, a couple of his producers. It was a small call. We were literally talking, above all, about the anti-Israel questions that he expected to receive on this campus tour. And we were kind of talking him through talking points and strategy. And he literally said, Josh, when the Israel question comes up, I'm just going to plug your book, Israel and Civilization, because I think that what you write in the book basically is how I feel as well. And
precisely as you mentioned, there have been people who like Ian Carroll, and it pains me to mention her name, Candace Owens, because I know how close she was and maybe still is to Charlie. But at the end of the day, she's chosen to hijack his death right now to blame it on Israel. I mean, it's just so disturbing. So there you go. There's a nice clip of JTV there. Hopefully more of her followers will become aware of JTV, and they can check out our content and they can learn the truth about Israel, how Israel is a shining light in the world, both in how it conducts itself on the battlefield, but also as a society. And she can also maybe learn more about Torah and how the Jewish people are God's chosen people eternally. And he designated the land of Israel as an eternal inheritance for the nation of Israel. And that when God uses the word eternal for his covenant with Israel, he means it and he doesn't break his promises. And, one of the things I'd love to do, because Candace clearly is very interested in theology, I'd love to actually have a conversation with her on theology. So maybe we could make that conversation happen. I'm actually a lot less invested and interested in the question of Charlie Kirk's specific views on Israel. Completely understand that they were not just straightforward on one side or the other side, that he had all kinds of frustrations, but to be honest, I think plenty of people have offered us insight into Charlie's views on this. We can learn a lot from just his words on campus tours and when speaking to students and doing interviews, and his letter to Netanyahu, and yes, even private text messages. It can show us the full scope of his views, as well as listening to the people that really were closest to him and really close to him in the days, hours, weeks, months beforehand. But to be honest, there's plenty of people talking about that already. But I think that so much of the hostility that we see towards Israel and Jews, and my sense is, yes, even in the case of Candace, is this comes down to some kind of theological conception or misconception of Jews, the Jewish people, Israel, the Torah. So I'd love to have a conversation, theological one, because I think that's the root of this. That's the root of the problem in the Middle East with the Muslim world. That's how I believe we really get to the bottom of this. And I believe that actually there's a reason that the world is so obsessed and so focused with Israel and so focused on all these theological questions, because God uses Israel as his people, as his tool almost, to bring the world towards its ultimate destiny, which is to be filled with the knowledge of the God of Israel. So all the world can have a relationship with him, and Israel can serve as that blessing to the entire world, a vessel for God's light, so that all the world can receive that light and receive that goodness. Christians like Candace are somewhat close in a way, because to the Jewish viewpoint, they believe that there is this one Jew who acts and serves as a vessel for God's light to the world. Jesus, and as a suffering servant for the world that suffers through that process of bringing the world kicking and screaming towards that destined end. She just needs to adjust it slightly to understand that it's not just one Jew, but it's actually the entire Jewish people. So there's my little plug for JTV on Candace's show. Greatly appreciate that, Candace. Do check out my interview with Josh Hammer, where you can see in more depth the kind of things he says. Before we finish, I just want to share with you something really important. We are told that Israel's actions are the cause of the Israeli-Arab conflict, but we've just released a groundbreaking documentary proving that Arab Islamic Jew hatred far predates Israel's re-establishment. This is a critical fact that everyone needs to learn about. Have a watch of our trailer for our new JTV Plus documentary entitled Arab Anti-Semitism Before Israel's Re-establishment. Picture yourself, it's 1834 and you're a Jew living in Tzfat, which is a northern city in Israel, then under the Ottoman Empire. Your family is part of this ancient city's spiritual heart for generations. You study Torah, you trade in the market, and live quietly among your Arab neighbours. But one day, a mob storms your street, shouting, "Kill the Jews!" Your home is looted, your synagogue burned, your loved ones beaten. This isn't about Israel. Israel won't exist for 114 years. This isn't about settlements, the IDF, or the 1948 displacements. This is raw, violent hatred aimed at you for being a Jew. And it's not just in Palestine, it's part of a centuries-old story of anti-Semitism woven into Arab and Islamic history, from the dawn of Islam to the streets of Hebron. The claim that this conflict began with Israel's creation, the Nakba, or modern policies, is a farce, a distortion that collapses under history's magnifying glass. Welcome to JTV Plus. I'm Ollie Annisfeld, and today we're uncovering a history too often buried, the relentless anti-Semitism among Arabs in Palestine before 1948, rooted in a broader Arab and Muslim hostility that began with Islam's inception in the 7th century. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.